Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Let's thank our members Invictus, Crazy Blue Cots, and our patrons Interceptor, Richardson, Danny Cage, and Rupert. Thank you guys, it helps a lot. You have no idea. Make sure to be a member, make sure to be a Patreon. We have a PayPal as well now, and let's get into it. So today, kind of another video on the series that I'm doing with the Diving Down series, you know? Not Diving Down series, just the How We Would Fit kind of series, you know? So it was a request by many people actually to do the F-4S, which is an aircraft that, first of all, let's talk about what it is exactly, you know? So it is basically a later modification of the F-4J. That's basically what it is. So it's a Navy Phantom, so it doesn't have a cannon, and it is the F-4J but modernized. They were all modernized if I'm not mistaken. It started in 1977, but the version that I really want to talk about is a later version from 1979-1980, which is the actual one that got the new modifications. You know, the early F-4Ss were just, you know, aircraft to increase the life of the F-4J. And then after a while, they actually started to do other modifications, you know. So on the basic side is a F-4J modernized. It has a different engine, so it is the, let me check again, it's obviously a J79, so it is the J79 GE10B, so it's not the A variant, I think, or the normal variant that the J had, you know, it's the B variant. It is technically a smokeless engine, so it produces less smoke on military power. Which means that it is less visible, you know, a little bit in the air. That in game would not make that much of a difference because we have spotting systems. Maybe maybe it can have like a way to be a little bit more stealthy, just a little bit, like 1 kilometer less or something like that, to be spotted by the in-game sighting system, you know, something like that maybe. So yeah. Another thing is that it has a reinforced airframe. It doesn't mean too much, but it can pull 8.5 Gs as a safety limit subsonic, which is a lot, to be honest. And of course, in game, you would have probably a little bit more of a turn than the J in the sense of limit, you know. Another thing, and the most important thing ever of this aircraft, is that it has a leading edge slats. So it is basically an F-4J, but it has the Agile Eagle kind of package, you know. It is still a little bit better than the Agile Eagle package that we see in the F-4E, for example, because it has a longer wing fence on the start of the wing slat, you know. But that doesn't mean too much, you know. It just means that in low velocities, the aircraft is a little bit more controllable, but it doesn't change too much the flight performance, you know. That's basically it, okay? So it was produced, this version was produced from 1980 until, not produced, but modernized, right? From 1980 to 1986. And basically until 87, it was kind of in reserve. And I think in the Marines, it was used until 1992. So it was during the 80s. Another thing that I want you guys to consider, I couldn't confirm it, but I mean, the AIM-7M and the AIM-9M started being used in 1982, which is in the middle of the life of this aircraft, of this modification, you know. So it might be the case that it can use the AIM-7M and the AIM-9M, but I wouldn't, you know, bet my life on it. I would still put it with the AIM-9L, you know, and the AIM-7F, and it would be fine, I think, you know. So the radar is also a different variant of the radar on the J, but I couldn't find exactly what it meant. It is the not the radar itself. I think the radar is still the APG-59, but it has a new fire control system, the AUG-10A. So it might be that it has a different kind of filtering system or something like that. I mean, it's a late 70s aircraft anyway, so it might have something on those lines, you know. But yeah, what it means is that it's going to be an F-4J with basically the same power, you know, but more turning capability. That's the main thing. It will be technically the, you know, lightest F4 and technically the most maneuverable F4 in the game, because it doesn't have the internal cannon. So if you don't use the cannon, the gun pod on the center line pylon, you know, it will be the most maneuverable Phantom because it will have, I mean, basically the same aircraft as the F4J, but with the leading the leading edge slats, you know, which helps a lot in turning capabilities. So it would be very, very cool. I kind of don't understand why they actually added the F4J. I mean, they jumped from the F8 to the F4J, but to be honest, I would still like to see the F4B, for example, which was a very, very highly used aircraft for the Navy, US Navy. And then maybe a modification as the J with a internal modification as a, you know, an upgrade, a tier 4 upgrade for the aircraft to become an S. So, not an S, right? But the S variant, you know. So, it is fairly weird to see the J and not the S. But still, it's an aircraft that I think it doesn't change too much in the game. In the meta right now, how it would fit, I mean, it would be just a better F4J. And if he gets the AIM-9L, or at least the AIM-9H, you know, or something like that, it will be, I mean, to be honest, I think because of the time frame of these aircraft, I think he should get the AIM-9L together with the AIM-7F, just to be different from the J, you know, because the J, or be a modification for the J with the leading slats and stuff like that, because if not, it's going to be the same aircraft as the J. It's too similar, and with the same armament and just the leading edge slats, it doesn't make sense. So if they're not going to add the AIM-9L, I still think that it should be a modification for the J, you know. But if it is another aircraft, a lot of people agree with me, a lot of people disagree with me, but it should be using the AIM-9L to be a little bit different, at least, you know. A lot of you know, right? But still. And how it would fit in the meta, I mean, it would be just an F4J. It would be one of the ultimate F4s in the game. The radar would still be better, you know, worse than the EJ Kai, obviously, but still it would be very, very cool because of the maneuverability, because the way that the aircraft is, and because it's a naval Phantom, another one, you know, has very, very cool camos and stuff like that, and it would be just a very, very cool aircraft. I think in the future, you will need to have the AIM-9Ls anyway, just because the way that everything is going to be added, the BR compression is always going to be a thing, at least in the short future, you know. So, due to the BR compression, I say this a lot, but due to the BR compression, a lot of these aircraft will need to have these more modern all-aspect missiles or more modern radar missiles, just to actually be able to fight off the 4th generation aircraft, you know. So yeah, an F4J, for example, you can already see that it is a lacking aircraft in some areas, you know, and one of them is maneuverability. It is not an aircraft that is good in maneuverability. It is an aircraft that is heavy and big, and yeah. And if you compare to the F-4F, for example, that even has the extra weight of the internal gun, and I mean, it has a less fuel and it has less weight in that sense, but still, even with the internal gun, it is still more maneuverable just because of the slats than the F4J, for example. Maybe that's the thing. I tried it once, and if you actually use the F4J without the gun pod, just with the missiles or anything, you know, not anything, without anything, you will turn basically the same as the F4F, just with the J, without the gun pod. So imagine an aircraft such as this, but with leading edge slats. It's not going to be a MLD beater in the sense of dogfight or an F5 beater or something like that, but it will be better, a lot better. So yeah, at first it will be fine. You know, it's just another modification. I still think that it's supposed to be a modification for the J with the leading slats. Same missiles, add the AIM-9H, and we're fine, and it's alright, you know. Not that it changes too much from the G anyway, but yeah, the H. And and then use the AIM-7Fs to kill the guys from far away. You still have the same radar, but it will be able to just dogfight a little bit better, you know? It would be fun to see that. But also, I really want to be added the F-4B. I mean, it's one of the most used F-4s in the US service, so it needs to be added at some point, you know? Even if it's an event vehicle or something like that. It doesn't change too much from the F-4C, but still, it would be very, very cool. And yeah, it's... The F-4S is going to be, if added, a very, very cool aircraft. A designation that it is similar to what we see with the MLD, you know. Obviously, the MLD, it is a much more modern project, you know. The F-4 started being developed in the late 50s, you know. And the MiG-23, it's like middle of the 60s. So the startup of the design was already a little bit further ahead. And with that, obviously, the design is a lot better in the sense of aerodynamics and knowledge and stuff. So there is that kind of thing that we have to worry about. But still, it is one of the ultimate Phantoms. Obviously, we are going to have the Kai always to be one of them. Maybe in the future we can have the Kurnas 2000 as well, or something like that. But still, the F-4S will be one of the latest F-4s in the game. And I think it's just too important not to be added. I mean, basically 300 were converted from J to S. So, I mean, it's a lot of aircraft, right? So, yeah. And hopefully we see more maps with the carriers for us to land as well in our RB, right? But anyway, this is it, guys. I still think that for the future, for the 4th generation fighting with this aircraft, you will need the AIM-9L. But for now, similar to the J, it doesn't need to. You know, it would be able to fight any aircraft that we have it, and it would be the most maneuverable Phantom in the game. So it would be very, very cool to see that. So yeah, this was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to be a Patreon, a member, PayPal, and I see you guys on the next one. Subscribe and bye, guys. See ya.